Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis Podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you can find tuning into the Oasis Podcast. This will be a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now. Also follow us on Instagram at TheOasis Podcast. That's TheOasis Podcast. Welcome back to the Oasis Podcast. Thank you all for joining us again today.
Back like we never left it.
Okay.
You know.
Today I have back on Miss Ayanna. And we are going to be talking about a topic that I think is actually really, really important to talk about. And recently, Miss Ayanna here, she's always be on Instagram, social media, really schooling us on some stuff.
Follow me.
All right. And I will, add her, put her handles in the information of the podcast. But she recently put up some posts about fat shaming, essentially, right?
Yes.
How society views fat people, connecting weight to these other aspects of life that's like, what does that have to do with the other?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really a great thing to talk about, and I really wanted to have you on to talk about that.
Absolutely.
And so, for me, why I thought it was important is we talk, in our work, we do mental health related work, and in our work, we talk a lot about really, and our race to justice work, we talk a lot about understanding your privilege and understanding how that skews your lens when you're navigating life. And I had to be honest with myself that the things that were being mentioned, a lot of it I was just like, I personally as an individual don't view people in that way. But then in thinking about it though, I'm like, but I never thought about it. And so I had privilege in my own way of like being able to not have to navigate life through that lens.
Right.
And so I was like, being the fact that you advocate for this and you're out here really schooling people on being cognizant, right, of the connections we're making with weight and all these other entities and other things that have nothing to do with the other. I felt like this would be a great topic to talk about. And me, I'm also going to sit back. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn as well, because I also know that my privilege, my lens is skewed by my experience, right? And so a lot of times, weight is always looked at one way or the other, and everyone has their own personal experiences dealing with weight and how the world sees you,
of course,
and they identify you and they assume who you are based on what you look
absolutely
like, right?
Absolutely.
So please go ahead, girl, you got this.
All right.
You got the floor.
I mean, and I want to say thank you for starting off by acknowledging privilege, because I don't even think people attach that into the conversation. Every time we talk about privilege, we always think of white privilege and white and black versus thing, but there is body positive and body conscious privilege as well. When you walk in the world in a body that society deems unacceptable, you have to navigate the world differently than others who do not walk in your shape and in your size. And I think just acknowledging like, I didn't even have to think about it like that. Like, I didn't even have to have an experience of understanding what it's like for somebody of a certain size. I think, is a start of having these conversations in a healthy way. So thank you for starting by mentioning that. I think, and I don't speak for all fat people, so I'm just speaking for this fat person. Speaking on behalf of myself, I have been of a certain size my entire life. I have been overweight, obese, morbidly obese my entire life. At 5 years old, I actually found so I grew up in the 90s. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and back in the days, they used to do things like give your children identification cards. Like, if you lost your kid would have like an identification card with all your information. So I found my identification card in some boxes and some papers from when I was 5 years old, and I was cute. I was always cute. I'm cute now. Cute little girl, but the weight on the card at 5 said that I was 106 pounds. Now, if you know a 5-year-old,
Right.
5-year-old average weight, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what their average weight is supposed to be, but I think it's in like the 30, 40, 50 pounds, maybe. Not even that much.
I don't even know.
We can Google it. We'll fact check and Google it.
Yeah.
She'll edit that in. But we can fact check what an average weight of a 5-year-old is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not supposed to be 100 pounds. There are adults who are 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
A 5-year-old should not be 100 pounds. So that just goes to show that I was always overweight, and I was always obese, and there was never a time in my life that I was skinny. So I didn't know what skinny was. Going to school, starting school, I was fat. I was a cute little chunky baby, and I became a cute little fat girl, and I became a fat preteen and a fat teenager and then a fat woman. And I navigated my world with that understanding that I was a certain size. So there were things that I could not do, that I didn't do, that I wasn't allowed to do, that my counterparts who were normal, and I'm using that label with quotation because there is no such thing, but who were considered in a healthy weight were able to do. I didn't ride roller coasters, and I used to tell people I was scared of roller coasters. It wasn't that I was scared of roller coasters, it's that I couldn't fit in a roller coaster. So I couldn't ride it, so I had to lie and say I had a phobia of roller coasters.
Wow.
Because I couldn't get on one, because the thing wouldn't close down. Riding in an airplane, and you gotta press the button or whisper to the flight attendant when you get on the plane, can I have a seatbelt extender? Because the seatbelt isn't going to close, because it's only for a certain size, and it's embarrassing, or you feel embarrassed to need an extender. And I traveled like that for many, many years, because I'm a traveler. I love to fly, I love to go, and that was a part of my experience. So there's this, it's insidious in society that the world is not built for people of my size. The world ostracizes people of my size and larger than me. We're either made to be a mockery, made to be a TV show, My 600-Pound Life, My Big Fat Wedding. We're made to be somebody's entertainment, or we are somebody's punching bag, the butt of somebody's joke. I know lots of funny ass fat people, but we had to be funny because we had people talk about us. We had people talking shit. So we had to build up a tough skin and some sense of humor to be able to just make it through the world, navigating in our size. But being fat affects every single aspect of your life. You cannot imagine. There is not a time or a place where my size did not precede what people learned of me. Like, you learned me after you got used to my size.
Wow.
That
was pretty prominent. Wow.
Right, that was heavy.
You learned me after.
After you got okay and comfortable with my size. Like, literally, all of my life. Like, and I think that other people with other things feel the same way. Like I'm not fair skinned, but I'm not dark skinned. I'm brown skinned, and so I think women of darker hues, people of darker hues, feel that way. Like, they get told you're pretty for a dark skinned girl. I was told you're pretty for a big girl. Not just you pretty. Because that's what it is. If you think I'm pretty regardless of my size. Shopping, going into the store. Everybody was at one point Victoria's Secret down in pink. Everybody had pink. Pink would be stretched out on my ass. I couldn't wear nothing in pink.
That's all my ass could fit.
Right, exactly. You understand that? But you're a teenager.
I can't go to the big girl store.
Right, exactly. And then the big girl store back in the day, like, first of all, thank you to the fashion world for finally realizing that plus size women spend coin on clothes and we like to look good. I don't think, I like to look good. I'll speak for myself. I like an ensemble. I like to put a piece together.
Yes, she does, huh, T?
Thank you.
Okay.
And, child, it was a struggle back in the day. And any plus size person, male, female, or other, will tell you that our selection was not cute. It was floral. It was old lady-ish. It was ugly color schemes. It was ugly patterns. First of all, why you want to put somebody that's a size 5X in some ugly ass outrageous patterns is beyond me. Like, we don't want to be billboards of stripes. Like, we don't, you know what I'm saying? It was not cute back in the day when I had to go shopping, and it was a struggle. It did not feel good. Buying your first, like, everybody's hyped to wear their first outfit to school, and struggling, looking in catalogs, trying to buy shit out of catalogs because I couldn't go to Old Navy because Old Navy didn't have the plus size section when I was a child.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of plus size sections when I was a child. So I was either shopping at some old lady store or I'm buying it out of catalogs and then hoping that it looks cute when it comes from the catalog. So even that experience, it's so many, like it's so much. Yeah. Like it literally it is insidious and affects every aspect of life.
I remember growing up, especially but mainly in high school, you know, they had dress code and all that. I think high school for me was the first school age era where I got to wear regular clothes. I always went to uniform schools. And, you know, when it get hot, you know, girls try to try it. You know, they put little tank tops, little crop tops, whatever. And I remember, I think that was the first time I saw how you were treated different by your weight. And I was cognizant of it because I remember going to school, so you would wear, I think my particular school, you couldn't wear spaghetti straps. But slimmer girls got away with it. And bigger girls, bustier girls, and not just busty, but if you was just bigger,
right,
they would make you put on a t-shirt. And I noticed that when I was younger, like, how does that make sense? And even if the girl was not busty, but she was just bigger, they would still make her put on a t-shirt. And it's like, but I'm wearing the same,
right? I'm
wearing the same thing. And I noticed that, like, how does that make sense? Like, and there were some girls who did challenge. They challenged the teachers and challenged the deans or whoever, and they couldn't give them an answer.
Right.
Like, oh, you know, that's not dress code. But they're like, but this person is doing the same thing, and you didn't say nothing. And they had no response.
That double standard, it's real. It is. You know, I say this all the time. Nobody chooses to be fat, so let that misconception go out of your head. Like when you ask people, well, why don't you just and well, if you just ate differently, if you just exercise, nobody chooses to be fat. And when I'm saying the word fat, like some people are like, oh, she fat because she 200 pounds solid and she thick. You know, and black folks have different degrees of what we consider fat.
Yeah.
You know, medicine, the medical world, and that standard of you should be this size if you're this height. That don't always work in the black community because we thick. You know, that scale don't really work for us, but. When I say fat, I mean like morbidly obese. Me, at my highest, I was close to almost 400 pounds. I think I was up in like the 380s at my highest weight. And that was around high school time going into college. And nobody wants to be almost 400 pounds. It doesn't feel good on your body. It doesn't feel good spiritually. It doesn't feel good emotionally. You do not want to eat yourself sick. Like, I never sat around and was like, I'm going to eat myself fat. And then I just told you I was fat as a child, you know, and so that's genetics.
Yeah. That
is culture, what I was fed as a child, what my parents did or didn't do as far as nutrition and health. Culturally, my father's from North Carolina, honey. It's all fried, it's all smothered, it's all high blood pressure and diabetes. If you've ever had
all that good stuff.
All the good stuff, child. The pound cake got a pound of everything in it. That's why they call it a pound cake.
Butter,
right.
Butter.
Okay. If you've ever had my daddy's iced tea, it's popping, but it is diabetical. Okay. You will have the sugars. Drinking, rest in peace, Al. You will have the sugars drinking Al's iced tea. So, you know, like I say it all. I own my food ignorance now as an adult because of how I was raised, and my parents didn't know any better. Like,
if you didn't know no better,
you don't do better. If you don't know, right?
Yeah.
My parents were feeding their child. They felt that they were providing for their child, and of course, they didn't want their child to be fat. I don't think any parent sits around and wants to make their child fat, but they do. Your parents do the best that they can. That's first. And so, you know, I would have teachers. I would have peers. I would have medical professionals. I would have people that just came across like, well, you know, you're so bright and you're so beautiful, and and then to be pity in their voice and pity in their eyes. And if you just, well, what are you trying to do differently? Well, like why don't you just, you know, are you doing anything? Because you would just be so beautiful if you would just lose that weight. I'll never forget this. I was about 14. and I was going to another doctor, a new doctor, and the doctor grabbed my wrist. I'm going to show you what he did. He grabbed my wrist, and he held my wrist like this with his hand wrapped around my wrist. And he was like, see, you're not supposed to be fat. Like, look, like, you're not even big boned it. Like, what are you doing? Like, that you're causing yourself to be this way. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is a medical doctor. Like, he went to school, had the white coat and everything. And that was what he said to me. And I was like, what? Like, I'm here to get my vaccination shots. Like, can we get my vaccination shots? Like, you know, it's just, it's this association. It's your identity. Like, I'm a black woman. I'm a fat black woman. That's a different level. Like, you're a black woman, but you've never been fat. You just can't even understand the reality of it. Yeah. And so when people police people by their bodies and uphold those hateful stereotypes and just hateful culture around fat shaming.
See, that I can attest to. I can. And I think that's the part of, should title it as weight shaming, that people don't think about. Because growing up, you was just like, oh, no parent wants their kid to be fat. Actually, that was what my mother wanted me to be because I was young. So culturally, having small and skinny kids in the Haitian culture is a no-no. That means you're not feeding them.
Oh.
So I would constantly...
So obviously they wanted to fatten you up. Okay.
I was constantly being forced to eat.
See?
Right? And it's like, it don't matter how much you feed me. That's just how...
Right, that's your body. That's your... Yeah.
And I'm telling you, up until I spoke to one of my close guy friends maybe 2 days ago, and like he had a friend, whatever, I'm trying to get some things done in my home, and you know, he was talking to the person, and the person has met me before. And you know how that person referred to me? Oh, that's that toothpick girl from Brooklyn.
Wow.
So like... It
happens on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
the weight shaming.
I've spent a majority of my life being identified by my weight and my lack thereof, right? Not having shape, not being able to fill out clothes. Right. So when I was in school, I was envious of the girls who could fill out their clothes.
Right, who had a little bit more body.
I had issues buying clothes too because of how I'm built. Clothes don't fit me.
Yep.
And what you're saying, when you are in clothes that you don't like or that don't fit you, you feel so like
self-conscious,
out of place. You feel so self-conscious. You just feel so off. So I understand the weight shaming part of it and how society looks at you. Even in men and dating,
too. Yeah.
You think that women, so people will paint a picture that men necessarily they want to go for the skinny girl or whatever. And I think it's one of those things, right? It's like they go for the skinny girls because they feel that's what they want, or the society tells them that that's what it is. But when they're with you, they're analyzing you and they're telling you, why don't you gain some weight?
Right.
Why don't you this? And I've had situations like that where you went for me, you came for me.
Wow.
If you didn't want this, why are you
that's
here?
That's a mouthful, child. That's a mouthful. Now, and I thank you for bringing that into the conversation because because I have my blinders up because I've never been thin. I've never been skinny. And so my understanding of it, if you thin, you in. Like, you good. Like, you walk into any store, pick anything off the rack, and you know, so, again, society just does this pairing of people together in a toxic way, in a hateful way, and tearing each other down, and we buy into that shit. We buy into it. And it's like, your experience mirrors my experience going into a store and not feeling comfortable with anything that you buy in that store, and it not fitting right, and you don't feel good in it. You don't feel hot, sexy, fly in it. You're wearing it, feeling subconscious because you're comparing yourself and your body to others that are deemed better than you by some bullshit ass standard.
Bro, these mannequins, bro.
Come on.
You see these mannequins? And that's the thing. There's like the super skinny ones, and then there's these crazy busty ones. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna buy that outfit because I'm not like that. So I'm just like, forget it. Next.
And then there's subcategories in each because it's the skinny girl with the booty. Right. She can be skinny, but she got a little booty. Or it's the fat girl, but she got titties and ass. Like, I don't really have titties. Like, you know, for a big girl, I don't have titties. I got something to hold on to. But but you know, some chicks be having H's and F's, and I'm sitting over here trying to hold on to these, you know, CDs. And I'm like, all right, I'm holding on to it. I'm losing a little weight. The titties went first. Titties went gone first. But you know, it's like it's subcultures in how we compare people and just how we objectify bodies. And that shit has to stop.
And how it varies for men and women.
It does.
Men experience fat shaming. Men experience
They
fat
do.
shaming too. But
They
I
do.
just think it's on a different level. But it's experience though.
Oh, they do.
But it definitely is on.
It's
a
on a
different
different.
level.
It's deeper for women.
Yeah.
It's way more oppressive for women. It's deeper. It's uglier. It's just a little bit more toxic. And I don't want to take away from a man's experience. So I won't speak to a man's experience because I'm not a man. But for me, the way that women are pined against each other and compared,
Yeah.
it is just so toxic and so disgusting. And then for you to say that part about dating, honey, because I want to touch on this, because dating while fat, hooking up while fat, somebody, you know, being interested in you and you happen to be of a certain size and you're plus size. In the back of your mind, I don't think any person who is plus size won't say this. In the back of your mind, you're asking yourself, is this a fetish? Does he want to fuck me because he has a fetish for fat people? Will he be prideful to show me off in public? Will he want to hold my hand in the street? Will he want to be like, this is my woman? And it, you know, you always think about that. Like, behind closed doors, you want to pop off. You want to grab the rolls. You want to jiggle the fat. You want to,
this shit.
right? You like it behind closed doors. It's on and popping. But then, do people know that I'm fucking with you? Do people know that we dealing with each other? Does your mama know? Do your family talk about why you fucking that fat girl? Like, I've had that experience more times than I'd like to account for. And, you know, it was this sentiment of like, because she's fat, she'll take whatever she gets. Whatever guy bats his eye at me and gives me the time of day, I should be grateful. Because your ass is fat anyway, so just be happy.
So that means that no one is going to want you.
Right, just be happy with whatever little bit of attention you get, because you ain't going to get none anyway because you fat. And I'm like, y'all look crazy. Y'all look crazy.
Got me fucked up.
Yeah, all the way. All the way fucked up. I know I'm the shit. Like that, and that's one thing that I thank God, and I don't know, I have to give it to God. And I'll give it to my parents. I'll give them their just due confidence. No matter what you look like and what shape, form, body you are gifted with, and it is a gift, whatever you come in is a gift, having your confidence in yourself that nobody can shake. I always had that. Even when I was a dumb teenager, and no shade to teenagers, I love y'all, but y'all hormones be all over the place, and y'all
your
really
brain ain't developed, so it's not even your fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
But we love you.
Right. So even as a teenager going through my own teenager melodrama, there was always this sense of confidence that I had.
See? I didn't have that.
I thank God for it. I don't know. I can't say where it came from. I'll give it to God because there was so much that tried to steal my confidence. There was so much that told me, who the hell do you think you are, fat girl?
See, I got those messages, and I wouldn't outwardly show you that it impacted me, but I did internalize those. I didn't gain a sense of confidence and was comfortable with my body as is until maybe I'm going to be honest, maybe I probably hit 30 or late 20s. That's something. That's a mouthful. Like, when I was in high school, all that, I'm telling you, and it was especially when I was younger that, again, people would come for me when they really wanted something different, and they would say these things to me. Oh, you should try to do this, and you should put some weight on.
Right.
You should this,
eat
and
this.
you should that.
My mom
you need to eat more, or I need to feed you. And I used to internalize that shit. I really, really did. So the fact, and I'm saying this to show comparison because I think exactly what you said, right? People see, oh, somebody who might be bigger, and they think, oh, they got low self-esteem.
Right.
No.
Right. I love me, child.
Yeah.
If y'all follow me, I'm my favorite topic, child. I love
the other way around. It's these past, honestly, especially these past few years, I think being in my 30s period has just given me a sense of confidence. Gotcha. That now you can't tell me shit. Okay. Right. You don't like it?
And that's a myth. That's a myth that a skinnier person, that a more fit or whatever body type, they all got confident. Like, they all are so, and really and truly, no, most people do not like themselves. Skinny, in between, or otherwise. Most people are self-confident or lacking self-confidence. Yeah. And I'm glad that I was able to tap into that because I needed. I think that saved my life. I think if I didn't have that, I would not be here. I know I wouldn't be here. So I had to tap into it. I had to just be like, you the shit. Alright, you the shit. Like, when I would put on something that would make me feel good, you the shit.
That's it.
Now, you can't tell me nothing, honey. You can't tell me shit. You nothing about this
a rag with some holes in it.
Okay? And I'm still the shit. Okay? Okay, wig cap and all. I'm still the shit. But it took a while for me to be comfortable in not explaining my confidence. Because people would question it.
Really?
Right. People would literally be like, they would say it all the time. My mother, you'd be like, girl, I don't know. You just love yourself, don't you? Like, when you get on, like, people would, like, as if I wasn't supposed to have it. Like, if it was not right that I was fat and proud. Like, you gonna wear that? You bought that? You got your arms out? Yeah, it's hot. It's 90 degrees out here. Why do I have on a sweater? It's hot. Like, y'all got your arms out. Yes, I have fat on my arms, and the fat is hot. I'm gonna have my fat out. Like, you know, like, I started to tell myself these things because I was boxing myself up and living and projecting all of the insecurities that people wanted me to have, but I didn't have it.
Correct.
Like, I was like, nah, I really do like how I look in this shirt. Yes, it's a crop top, but I think I look cute. Yeah, like, I like it. And then there are some times where I don't think I look cute. And I'm like, all right, that wasn't it.
I used to feel that. Like, I used to look at other women and they would wear things that, quote unquote, was not appropriate for their size, was supposed to be more appropriate for my size. And I would look at them and I was like, I'd be like, I wish I was that confident.
See?
And I
people
wanted
be like,
it.
why she got that on?
Yeah.
That ain't for her. It's for her. Did she buy it?
When
Did she pay for it?
I would have to push myself, even to wear crop top, things like that. I would have to push myself to wear that, and I would have to talk myself until I walked out the door.
Right.
To be like, you look fine, you look fine, you look fine, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay.
See?
And I used to see other women, and I'd be like, ooh, why she wearing that? But be like, oh, I wish I had that.
Right.
You know, like, to do that and just be happy and feel comfortable in it. And I would wear things and then feel comfortable.
That's it. Now I look in the mirror. I got a ceiling to floor mirror in my room. I look at myself. I say, damn, girl, you look good, girl. Okay, you is doing it.
Mirror I pass by.
Okay, you is doing it. But it took so long. It took so long to feel okay. And I'm forever a progress. I'm forever progressing. So at the size that I am now, I weigh myself this morning. I weigh myself every morning since I started this detox. So this morning I was 235. 235, and I'm in between. I go from like 230 to 240. That's my window right now. I've had weight loss surgery. This is the second time around with weight loss surgery. So I've done weight loss surgery in 2008, and then I did it again in 2018. And that in itself was a journey, and that in itself was a lot to navigate people's opinions about it. Ignorant ass conversation about your choice to do what you want to do
with your body.
Right, with your body, you know, having to defend what you want to do with your body. And then, you know, I watched people who have known me all my life respond to me differently because I'm in a different size. And I'm like, this is me. Like, literally, like, family, friends, folks that I've known, as I metamorphosized into this size. And for people, I still see Ayanna. So when I got weight loss surgery in 2018, I was 343 pounds on the day of surgery. Today at 234, 100 pounds lighter, I still see 343 Ayanna. Because that's just how your eyes work. Like, you know, I see some differences. Yes, you know, my face is smaller. I can look at pictures and be like, oh, yeah, I see it. But when you look at yourself every day, you just see you.
Yeah.
And so I would watch aunties. I would watch friends. I would watch family, like, just react to me in a way that was weird and different. I'm like, it's still me. It's still me. You know, I might wear a 1X instead of a 3X or a 4X now. It's still me. But you get treated differently. You move in the space and in the world differently. And as I decrease, because I'm still decreasing, and hopefully we'll get to a comfortable size and a goal weight, I know that I'll navigate in the world differently, just because of my size. But I haven't changed. Like, Ayanna is still Ayanna. Everything that I was doing when I was 343 is what I'm doing at 234. And it's hard to kind of move in the world in a new body and people treating you in a new way. and you still hold on to some of the old things that you had that you had to deal with when you with 343 pounds. Like I look like if I go to a cookout, I'm looking at the seat like, can I sit in that chair? That shit gonna buckle. Cause fat people know you can't sit in every picnic chair. You can't flop down. Right. I'm looking at a booth. Can I slide in that booth? Can I get in there? If I were to go to an amusement park now, I'd be like, I'd still be leery about getting on a ride, because all of my life I had weight requirements. I'm a spontaneous person. I like to do. I don't jump out of planes or nothing, but I like to do some off the cuff spontaneous things. We went to Vegas 2 years ago. So this is after surgery. This is a couple of months after surgery, and I was around 260 something, and there was one of those extreme excursions where you could jump off the side of the building, literally. Right. And I was like, I want to jump off the side of the building. And then I was like, wait, what's the weight requirement? Like, and you have to think, some people don't even have to think about that. Some people just jump off the side of the building because they don't even have to think about weight. You know they're going to meet the weight requirement. And unfortunately, I did not meet the weight requirement that trip. When I go back to Vegas, I'm under the weight and I'm going to jump off that building. I'm jumping off that building. But things like that, you have to consider and think about. When you go to a new medical provider, the first thing they're going to ask me is about my weight.
We have different experiences with this parallels.
Yeah.
It's like, for years, I wasn't able to donate blood.
Wow.
Because I was underweight.
Wow.
So there were things, and just when you talk about the like excursions and doing certain things, there were things that I was too small to do.
Right, like you would fall out of it, right?
And people wouldn't think that with me. I would be thinking like, oh, is that going to hold
me in, right? You turn upside down, you slide out. See?
And I think, those
the parallels.
Right, but these are lines I think people, either they're comfortable in their experience.
Yes.
And they don't step out of themselves to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also what, like I said, I've never been a person that looked at somebody and judged them from their weight. And I don't know why that is. Me questioning why that's not a case is also probably something I should explore, right? But I've just never been that person to do that. Like when people be like, oh, I'm fat, I'm big, I'm this, I'm this. I'm like, no, you're not. And I'm not saying it to be
right.
I'm just like, that's not how I view people. But I've always been able to do that, but I also know people that's the first thing they do, and that's just straight. Why they look like that? Why they wearing that? They too big for this. They too that for that.
They shouldn't do it. And you're policing people. And that's their own insecurity. That's their own insecurity because you want to police somebody because you want comfortable in your skin. Worry about yourself.
Exactly.
Worry about yourself. Do the self-improvement on yourself. Don't worry about what nobody else chooses to do. Like in comparison, Rihanna will drop a video of her in her lingerie in her Fenty line or in a bathing suit on the beach, poom shorts. She'll drop a video twerking and she'll break the fucking internet. Everybody's here for it. Like, and Rihanna's a gorgeous woman, beautiful. Lizzo will put on some cut-off panties or some shorts or her bikini, and she'll be booty popping in her pool, minding her beautiful black business, and it breaks the internet for another reason.
And you know what I learned about Lizzo just this morning? And she's been a vegetarian for years, and then she's a vegan now.
Right, vegan, yogi, exercises regularly. Got to have pipes to sing. If you know anything about a professional singer, they got to work on their pipes. They got to work on their diaphragmatic breathing. So she got to have some type of stamina.
So that assumption now
that she's lazy, so she's sloppy, and she's not. No,
she is healthy, and I think that is the part that people continuously connect.
Right.
That is
fat
not
with unhealthy.
Correct. And I used to say to people all the time. They used to look at someone who's bigger and they'd be like, "Oh, that's so unhealthy." I said, I might be more unhealthy than this person.
Thank you.
People are big not because they're unhealthy. You know what I mean? I know people, like you said, there's genetics. There's so many reasons why people just have more weight on their bodies.
So many reasons.
And I can compare, example, back in the day, younger, my sister and I, prior to having kids and all that stuff, we used to race each other. Now, my sister, she was, at the time, she was still probably a little bit taller than me, but my sister, just okay? I would say she has everything that I lacked.
Got you. She took it all.
And at looking at us, you would think we had this race. I'm being her ass.
Right.
My sister would smoke
you. Gone. Be gone.
Smoke me. And I always like use that as an example because people will assume I'm thinner.
So you're
she
healthier,
was, that I was
right.
healthier than she
Right.
was, therefore
More
I was
athletic
than she
right.
was.
Right.
And it was like, nah.
I know skinny people be winded walking up the steps, be winded. I live on the second floor. If I got some skinny friends, they be like, "Whoo, girl, these steps," and I be like,
I've done workout classes, and there's all shapes and sizes in there,
and they busting it out.
And I'm sitting here like,
right, help me, Jesus. Give me a new lung, Lord. Give me a new.
It's like having this mindset. I really want people to really let go of these quote unquote things they think is normal, these norms that they have about being bigger means you're unhealthy. Being smaller doesn't make you healthy either.
That's
I know
true.
tons of thin people who can't walk upstairs.
Right.
They can't lift nothing.
Right.
They just are literally unhealthy.
Right, and then you
Their
pull their
numbers,
blood work, their numbers, they high blood pressure,
terrible.
they sick. No, it's true. But that is what society makes us believe. That's the conditioning of society, is that fit is thin. If you're thin, you're fit, and you're healthy. People are shamed. I was just on a woman's page who she's around 210 pounds. She's super. First of all, her body is ridiculous. I was like, oh goodness. I was like, if I could ever get my body done, I want that right there. Like, let me just cut her out. Body is sick for days. Little old waist, big old booty and hips and thighs, and she's a solid 210 pounds. She is literally 20 pounds lighter than me. Her body's shaped differently than mine, but she's a fitness guru. She's a fitness instructor, nutritionist, and she was like, when she was going through her schooling to be a fitness instructor and nutritionist, she was shamed. People were telling her, you can't be doing fitness and you look the way you look. You got to lose more weight. And I'm like, but she's healthy. Like, she could smoke all of y'all. She did like cross-country running and marathons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I start sweating thinking about running a marathon. And I'm like, but that's what society, right? That's what society will have us to believe. And I was an active child at whatever size that I was. I played softball. I was in Girl Scouts. I did all, I moved when the first time I got weight loss surgery back in 2008, I got me a trainer. I was going to the gym 4-5 times a week. It was hard. I didn't like it. I don't like exercising. But I was able to do it. There was nothing that she asked me to do during our regimens that I wasn't able to do with the body I had. It's that myth that if you're fat, you're lazy. If you're fat, you're unhealthy. If you're fat, you're sloppy. If you're fat, you're nasty, you're disgusting. If you're fat, you don't love yourself. If you're fat, you don't care about yourself, and you're intentionally doing harm to yourself. Like, all of that's bullshit. All that's bullshit. And it's dangerous. It can kill somebody if you put those misconceptions on people. It can literally kill somebody. People lose their lives. People end their lives all the time because of the bullshit ass expectation that society and people place on other people. So it's a conversation to have, because like you're pointing out the parallels of our experience. And if I'm gonna be real, Chad, I might have to go to counseling for this, Chad. I might have to go to talk to a therapist.
I promote therapy all the time, so go to therapy, y'all.
Might have to go on the couch for this. For a long time, and sometimes I even go back to this, I would say, when I have children, I don't want my children to be fat. I would say that all the time. Like, God, I don't want my children to be fat. Just let my children just be regular size.
You feel like their experience would be different.
Right. Well, because I know how hard it was to navigate the world being fat. I know the pain of being fat and having to navigate the world, and no parent wants their child to go through that pain. And so I was like, oh my God, I don't want my baby to be fat. And I'm like, wow, but then what does that say about what you think about yourself? What does that say about your own self-worth? What do you feel about yourself? Because you fat. You wouldn't want your children to embody everything that even your fatness. You wouldn't want them to embody, you're like, you say you love yourself, but then you're saying you don't want your children to experience, and it's more so I don't want my children to experience living and being fat. Like, I would love my child, whatever my child is, whatever they come with, whatever body they're coming in, they would be perfect in my eyes. But I don't want them to experience living while fat, because it's hard. This shit is hard. It is difficult to navigate the world with that identification of fat. it is something that I don't think anybody who is a certain size would disagree with me. And I know brilliant people. I know beautiful, brilliant people who should be on your TV screens, who should be on your radio, who should be bestsellers, who should be actors and actresses, who should be doctors and lawyers and be on the main screen. But they don't fit the aesthetic. And so they are beautiful change agents in the world, but the ceiling is right there for them, and they're trying to crack it, and they're told that they can't squeeze through the crack because of the size that they are. And I'm like, come on. Like we can name one fat star. We can name one every decade or so. We had like the Queen Latifah, and she was chunky. We had Monique.
I don't see that as chunky.
Well, people would consider Queen Latifah fat. If you compare Queen Latifah.
I don't know. And again, I've always been like this. I don't.
You know, anything over a size 12 is plus size. 12 is plus size.
For real?
12 is plus size. A size 12 is plus size. So anything over 12, in the standard of fashion, anything over a size 12 is plus size. So, yeah. All these people are considered plus size.
Like watching reruns of, was it Living Single? Bro, I see Queen Latifah and think she's plus size. Like,
Definitely, Queen Latifah was plus size. So we've had one every decade. So we had the Queen Latifah, we had the Moniques and the Parkers, because Kim was like borderline.
In Moesha,
she was the fat friend.
It was right, and you're like, oh, she's not fat.
She wasn't.
Cause I literally started watching it again on Netflix. So I started looking like, oh, and I'm like, why are you joking her?
She was a fat friend.
She was not.
She was the fat.
She really wasn't.
She wasn't. She wasn't. She was short and little.
Yeah, she was short.
Right.
But
because she's not a size 4. She's not a size 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6. So yeah, they were considered plus size, but it was only 1 or 2 that could bust it open and crack it open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know what society looks like? Like, it's not real. Like, it's not a real depiction of what society looks like. But that is what we've always had to see. The love interest was never fat. The leading lady was never fat. We always talk about colorism and how, light is right and light and bright is right. But we also have to talk about size. The leading lady, the main sex object, was never a fat woman. And I'm not saying thick, I'm saying fat. Never. Like, cause they don't deserve to be the love interest.
So your posts, you put it on Instagram. There were a whole bunch of different.
Yeah, we talked. Medical was one of them.
Yeah, and like the post, pretty much the theme being, fat is not synonymous with, right? Like, fat is not synonymous with being ugly.
It's
right?
not.
That is not synonymous with me being unhealthy.
As you can see.
Fat is not synonymous with me being... So, just all these different areas. And that was really impactful for me, like, reading those. And I was just like, yeah, this is true. Like, this... People need to understand this, right? Like,
right. And I will say, you've elevated my stance. Because now I will change the word fat to size is not synonymous. Because, again... I didn't have the vantage point of the shaming on size of smaller folks. So now I would even elevate my stance to say size is not synonymous with beauty. Whatever size you are. Skinny, middle, medium, fat.
In society, no one's satisfied. Because everyone is just speaking from their own, like you said, their own insecurities and their own lens. And so anything other than or anything that makes them feel less than, they're going to critique. They're going to shame, they're going to put down, because it really just doesn't make sense. And I think we're both black women, and speaking from the point of just black women, it's like society
never
ain't satisfied with no way that we are, right? I had a friend put a post, and it's like, do y'all even really love black women? Because you're not satisfied with the Beyonce, you're not satisfied with the Liz
Cardi B's,
you're not satisfied with the Cardi B's, you're not satisfied with. So they were just giving a comparison of all these different types of black women, and there's an issue with every single one of them. So like, what are you satisfied with? And I think that's just a mirror to just society as a whole. Just
right. And I think that's a good point to touch on, is that if you base any of your worth on society standards, you will never be enough. depending on what, like, you'll never be enough. It doesn't depend on who it is and what you look like, what you come with. If you base your worth on society standards, you will never be enough.
Yeah.
And I think what I want to prompt people, anybody out there, is to think about if you have a moment where you want to be ugly, because I think it's true ugliness when you attack somebody else for just who they are. I think that's just pure ugliness in you. And we've all been there, because I've talked shit about people who were differently able than me before, so I'm not above saying that I've had an ugly moment where I talk shit about somebody. But think about this. Put you and your face on that person, because that is truly the person you're talking about. When you talk shit about somebody else and you throw that ugliness out there, you are really saying that to yourself. And don't feel any beauty, because you get nothing from tearing somebody else down. I literally get nothing out of tearing somebody else down. It adds no value to me.
Yeah.
It adds nothing to me to be like, oh, she thinks she cute, oh, she ugly, oh, she da-da-da-da, oh, she black, oh, she fat, oh, she... That adds nothing to me. And all those things that I'm projecting out, I inwardly am taking back in. So see yourself in everybody that you come across. And that is how I try to live. You know, I don't judge anybody. I don't judge any shape, any size, any ability or inability, because I know very well the minute I wake up, I can lose my sight, I can lose my speech, I can lose my bodily functions, I can lose the me being able to operate and move, and I'll be in a wheelchair just like somebody who's in a wheelchair today. I can be in a wheelchair tomorrow. So I don't take anything for granted from what I do have. And I'm working on me.
Yeah.
I'm pouring into me. And I think that everybody needs to come from that place. Because there's a lot of self-hate. And then they put that self-hate out into the world.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
hate begots hate. So if you hate yourself, then you put more hate out there.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel.
You're absolutely right. Usually, again, verbally me speaking negatively about someone, I don't verbally. But again, like what you said, maybe in my head I might be like, but why? You know,
Right,
or something
right.
in my head. But I do, again, take that stance of when I police myself when I have those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone's saying something about someone else, like, but are they bothering you? Like, I
Right.
usually be like, but why? Let them live their life. And that's usually what I say. Let
Right.
them live their life. Like, what does that
Exactly.
have to do with
It don't take no food off your
Yeah.
table, no money. And I ain't gonna lie. I love fashion. I love a good look. I love a good ensemble. So I be seeing some things that be making me side eye, because some things ain't cute. All right. But I be seeing it on all sizes, okay? I will see a girl who is a size 02 put on something that they should
that's
put
just
on.
not flattering.
And I'm like, ooh, sis.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't let nobody lie to you. Just because you a 0 don't mean you don't need undergarments.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs some undergarments sometimes for certain outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see somebody who's my size or larger than me put on something that I personally don't think is flattering.
Right.
But if they bought it and they put it on their ass, that's
You
their
happy?
business.
Go ahead. Right.
That's their business.
Yeah.
Like, mind yours. Mind what you put on. Mind what you rocking. Mind
Yeah.
what you got in your bank account and what you got on your body and how your body feels. That's all you need to put your attention to. Like,
Exactly.
and fuck society. Fuck society. and oh. That's all right. We almost there. We had to finish line. It stops us at the mark, right? That's all you. It stopped at that society.
Yeah.
Got
Just
you.
up to that point when you're saying fuck society.
Got you.
All right. You want to
Ready?
You want to final thoughts? You ready?
Ready.
I think I. Hold on.
Yeah, that's all y'all need to do. It's like, fuck society. Fuck what society is telling y'all. Turn the TV off. Put the magazines down. Stop feeding your soul with
Right.
all that negative and self-hating talk. And learn to love every single inch of you. Start from the top of your head. Go all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And thank every single part of you. Even the parts that you're uncomfortable with, because they carried you. Your belly carried you. Those legs that you don't like, your thighs that be rubbing, or your legs are too skinny for you. You wish you had more weight on it. Them legs have walked you through life. Say thank you. Say thank you. These hands have carried you. These arms have lifted you up. These shoulders, this gut, honey. I love all of me. Every single roll, every single stretch mark. I thank myself from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, because this is the body that has carried me for 33 years. I got to give it praise. That's where I think people need to start.
I got nothing to add to that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you
I
for
love
sharing your
y'all.
experience
Thank you for
and
having
being
me.
vulnerable to share this with us.
Thank you. It's a conversation.
It is. That needs to be had. We need to talk
And
about
continue it. I want to see comments under this video.
Yes.
Support my sis. I love what she's doing. Can we just support Black women for doing?
Okay.
For creating space to have these type of conversations. But this is important.
It's like your stuff, because you an author out here.
I'm
you
an
about
author.
to release.
I'm an author. I'm an author. I have a published book of poems called Before There Were Guns, There Were Gods. So you can find that on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or you can find it through me. Hit me up if you want to buy a copy and get it signed. My Instagram, I have 2. So the ratchet one, is a beautiful flower, period, torn petals. And the other one is Harriet Returned, at Harriet Returned, ED at the end. And so you can find me on social media. You can find me on Facebook. And I am currently working on releasing a trilogy, novel, fiction, romance, suspense, murder, mystery, sex, all that good stuff in that book. And I'm excited to get the first book out. So I'm claiming to God that it'll be out by the end of the year. So look for my first debut novel coming out. But if you want to get some stuff. Oh, and then I have 2 anthologies with my writing class. So we released an anthology last year and we released one this year. Both of which are available on Amazon. So you can just look up Power in the Pen and find the anthology. And some of my work is in that as well. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we got to celebrate us doing positive.
Yes, cheers to the Oasis Podcast. Clink.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Oasis Podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and like us on Instagram at TheOasis Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, direct message us on Instagram or email us at ajsoasis@gmail.com. Again, that's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com.